This is how to ruin a marriage in 10 seconds or less. My husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. I hate it, I already hate it. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male. We'll call him Jim.
Honorable.
A week ago, after dating for 2.5 years, Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends. And Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others know and what they've told me. Okay. Side eye. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned in to her crush and led her on throughout her high school years and for a little while after. Before we got together because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. Okay.
This is nasty.
He seemed genuinely guilty about all of that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend. And because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it, despite thinking it was a really crappy thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who's never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly toward me. And I now consider her a friend too. So Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself. She has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet, so when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as her +1. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend, but he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. Okay, the side-eye cam is getting some love today. It's getting a little bit of love. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress. Nothing inappropriate for a wedding. And with her boyfriend on her arm, who I'll admit is a very handsome guy. Think a Kit Harington type.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
She also lost a lot of weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Good for her. Love that. You know who doesn't love that? Jim. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short toward her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kind of rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. Oh, absolutely not. No. Yeah, this is jealousy for sure. He thought that she was always gonna be there to boost his ego.
You're a joke.
And quite frankly, I feel like it was a lot more than just keeping her around to make him feel better. The way he's acting is like she's the one that got away. But even then, you're in a happy marriage, or you're supposed to be. All those woulda, coulda, shouldas shouldn't matter at that point. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that
at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Buddy, isn't this supposed to be your wedding day? Why are we bringing this kind of like weird petty energy to your wedding day? Like it throws everybody off. Nobody says something like that unless their like ego is really hurt, especially unprovoked. All she did was show up with her boyfriend. I thought that was cruel and uncalled for, but I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding, despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch and who she clearly is very in love with and now is completely over Jim. Yeah, I don't like this very much at all. Like, I'm just sort of feeling like, why are you feeling some type of way about another person at a wedding? Your wedding. It's a no from me, dog.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Half update, after getting some PMs from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work, and needless to say, this marriage is over.
Oh, snap.
I'll post a real update when I have sorted everything out. Oh no. Remember what I said about him probably having feelings for her? He minimized the situation so as not to upset you. But like, something tells me it was not one-sided. Misha was not obsessed with him. He was likely having an emotional affair. At the very least, an emotional affair. So we do have an update. Hey everyone, I'm posting this here because I said in my last post that I would update when I was able to. So pretty much the day after my original post, I got some private messages from people suggesting I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this, and that nothing romantic happened between them that would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, so I use that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it. I've seen him put his passcode in a ton of times, so that wasn't an issue. Watch the people in the comments justify the invading his privacy. Buddy, okay, desperate times call for desperate measures. I didn't find anything in text with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he'd used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram, but the dumbass used the same passcode that he uses to unlock his phone, so I got into it right away. It's his birth year, go figure. And what would you know? I go to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding. Stop. Absolutely not. The only thoughts in your head the morning after your wedding should be your wife telling her how beautiful she'd looked that night, how much he'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled his opportunity to catch up with her, and he was desperate to meet up with her. Annulment, babes. Annulment. This leaves a sour taste in my mouth. And not your like sour cherry bomb kind of sour, Sour Patch Kids, fuzzy peaches. Not that kind of sour. We're talking sauerkraut kind of sour. Misha never replied to these messages. Ooh, that's embarrassing. Honestly, that kind of gives me the ick. Like, it's like a one-sided thing. Ooh. Ooh. Like, I swear, there's something about it that's like, ew, you're having an emotional one-sided affair.
And today I'm the age you were when you left.
You can't even get someone to like you. Like, ew. That's nasty. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more later that day. Ooh, that means he was like obsessively checking his phone on probably your honeymoon, no less. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross, but just think about the kind of stuff you would read on that nice guys subreddit. We don't go on that subreddit.
No thanks. I choose life.
I mean, we used to, but like, it's just depressing. Misha left him on red, and when I clicked on her account, it appears she blocked him. Oh, how are you not embarrassed? I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has happened between them. I wish that was all, but looking into his other conversations on Instagram, oh, don't say it, I found that he's been messaging other girls on there. They seem like aspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations were just him shooting his shot and getting left on red. Oh my lord.
Oh, well, that's embarrassing.
But others had evolved into flirting, and 2 of them resulted in
Spicy sex messages.
And the most embarrassing part of all, wait, no, there's more embarrassing things. That wasn't the most embarrassing part of all.
I can't watch this.
We can't put that on YouTube. The photos he was sending to these women weren't even of him. How are you not embarrassed? Oh gosh. I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs. And isn't that, what's the word? Blessed. in the pants department. I think he must have found a man's profile on some website and used those pictures, just cropping the face out. These two conversations happened in the past 6 months. Oh my lord. Very embarrassing indeed. I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told him I knew about the girls he was messaging on Instagram, that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out before I started throwing his stuff onto the street and causing a scene. He started crying. Good. And begging me not to kick him out, and swore they were just messages, that he would never actually cheat on me, but I don't believe him for a second. Then he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anyone else about what he's done. Immediately goes to Reddit. But I had left the room and started ignoring him by that point. He doesn't get to decide how you process what's going on, because it is embarrassing. It is. And there are consequences for his actions. He left with his mom and brother and is staying there from what I know. I blocked him on everything for the time being until I'm ready to tell him I'm seeking annulment. Thankfully, where I'm from, you can get one with almost no questions asked, as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days, and have already looked into the process. Ooh, goody. I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. Yeah, I mean, like, not only is he embarrassing himself, but he also really embarrassed you. Like, you went through the trouble of planning a wedding, inviting people, doing all the bells and whistles, dreaming of your big day, falling in love with this man, imagining a future together. And all the while, he was out there, like, making a fool of you.
Idiot.
I don't know how you're gonna deal with this, but I can understand, not wanting to deal with it for, like, as long as possible. But then again, you also have to worry about him, like, going around and, like, lying about why you're not together. So there's that. I'm so embarrassed that I've wasted 2 years on this man and I married him in the first place. Girl, do not be embarrassed. I know that this is kind of humiliating, but at the end of the day, it's like, how are you supposed to know that stuff?
You sounded like some kind of psychic or something just now.
He deceived you. You thought you were marrying someone else. He is the one that lost. Okay? I don't feel like I can even talk to people about this, so posting here has helped, and I'd like to thank you for all your kind words, advice, and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust is settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that. Like, Misha didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but, like, I do kind of wish that she gave you a heads up. Like, I mean, you did say that there was no, like, infidelity before that, and it kind of just took place, like, after the wedding. Like, listen, I feel like it would be good for you guys to talk, because who knows, maybe she will shed some insight, some light, some illumination, and maybe the whole crush thing wasn't a one-sided thing on her part. We girls gotta stick together, okay? All right, we do got one last update. Hey everyone, I just thought I'd give an update 4 months later to my situation, since I still get messages of support on here every week or so. You'll be glad to hear that I was able to get the annulment and I didn't have to go through a messy divorce with Jim. I had struck an agreement with him that I wouldn't tell a soul about his cheating or what happened with Misha, and would leave him alone forever if he agreed to the annulment and got it over quickly.
Oh, finally.
Does anyone wish she was just like a little pettier? Like just a little bit pettier? But listen, I understand divorces can get messy if it means that you can both move on and he can learn from this as fast as possible. Like, I almost feel like there should have also been like a,
You can't say anything bad about me. When you tell people what happened, you don't, like, lie.
Liar!
That's always something that I'm worried about whenever there's like breakups, right? I did end up sticking my end of the bargain, but it ended up not mattering because it turned out his brother is quite the gossip and let the cat out of the bag over Christmas after getting into an argument with Jim while drunk. Yeah, I mean, like, that kind of makes sense, because like, how are people, your marriage is over. Like, people are gonna find out. A lot of Jim's family were pissed and asked for the money they contributed to his half of the wedding fund back. Honestly, fair.
Call the police.
When people give you a wedding gift, they're expecting that money to go toward, like, not only your future, but maybe your honeymoon. And it's like, hey, but like, if that's not happening anymore, then like I kind of want the money back. I wish you could do that. Apparently some people do. A couple of our friends plastered everything on Facebook and humiliated him. It was interesting to watch the back and forth between them and Jim, honestly. I lived in our apartment and covered the rent on my own while he lived at his parents' until the lease ended back in January. And now I'm living with my dad and I plan to stay here for a while and take things easy. In January, I tried reaching out to Misha via text, asking if she'd like to meet up for coffee and talk about anything. I never got a response directly from her, but a few days later, I got a call from her number, and it was her boyfriend on the other end. He said they were both sorry for what had happened to me, and they hope I'm doing well, but Misha thought it was best to cease any contact, as this whole ordeal had made her anxiety and mental health problems spiral and landed her back in therapy. Back in therapy. What the hell did Jim do to her? Okay, maybe it wasn't Jim. Maybe she was in therapy for other things, but like, I did ask why she never told me that Jim had messaged her the day after the wedding, and her boyfriend confessed that he advised her not to get involved. And his direct words were,
I'm sorry to sound rude, but it's not her circus.
okay. I'm a little disappointed that she doesn't want to talk to me, but I get where she's coming from and I can't force her to do anything. To be fair, like she does have a right to not talk to you about it, but at the end of the day, what is she possibly gonna say? Like, yes, he led her on, he was awful to her, like, you know all of these things and you're not in a relationship with him anymore, and you're certainly not married to him anymore, so like,
Whatever.
it's water under the bridge at this point. To be honest, I think she's been looking for a way to divorce herself from our hometown and the people she and Jim knew back in high school for a while now. As for me, I'm also in therapy as I want to sort through these feelings and get back to feeling good about myself again before I ever think about entering the dating scene again. Listen, I'm actually very proud of you for standing on your business. You stood on business, baby girl. You stood on it. You did not accept a man that, like, even though he was being kind of like, did he go out of his way to physically cheat? No. But, like, you're strong. You are not okay with putting up with less than you deserve. So you should feel very good about yourself and your standards. And I'm proud of you for leaving. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you literally just got married. You're supposed to be happy right now. I've also been firm about ending friendships with anyone who's taken Jim's side, as I don't want him finding his way into my life again. So far, he's stayed away from me and hasn't tried to contact me, although his mom reached out over Christmas to ask me if there was any chance I might forgive Jim and take him back, as in her opinion,
you two are just meant to be together.
I mean, at this point, that's kind of insulting. Maybe she doesn't know the full situation. Probably not, because you haven't told her. But like, still, I feel like you deserve better than that. I wouldn't say that you're meant to be together. I didn't respond to her and I blocked her on pretty much everything.
Blocked and reported.
All right, so I've been reading some comments of people who, think that my channel is really one-sided and that, I don't really talk about like bad girlfriends and bad wives and like that I'm always taking my anger out on men. And listen, I don't want you to feel that way.
That's really not what I meant.
I want you to understand women are much more likely to talk about their problems, relationship problems, on social media. It's not like I'm purposefully avoiding the men. They just don't post as much. So this is an open call for the men who watch this channel to head on over to the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit and tell us your stories. If you want to see more men on the channel, let's hear it. Because literally, like, it's kind of hard to find, honestly. It is. Am I the a-hole for insisting that I have nothing to apologize for after my husband read my diary? I'm trying to stay focused here, but my edibles have kicked in. I need it first. I have kept a diary since I was 10. It is my form of therapy and I do not police my thoughts. I have never let anyone read my diary. For those of you who struggle with like overthinking, like let's say like you're in a funk, like you're just going through like just sort of like a negative period. They don't last forever, right? But like I strongly advise you to free write. Literally free write.
Write that down, write that down!
And do not hold back, like ever. I have a free writing document and I write pretty much my like deepest, darkest thoughts and like just like angry, just word vomit. This has honestly helped my mental health a lot, but there's things in there that it's like, you literally just, it's just vomit. You know what I mean? It's just vomit. You don't necessarily mean everything you say. It's just to get that out of your head and out of you, like onto physically something else. It's even better if you can actually write it down. I've just noticed that it really, really helps in periods where I'm dealing with stuff. It's been very helpful for me. So my husband and I started dating over a decade ago. One day, a couple of months in, he was over at my apartment and I had hopped in the shower. When I came out, he was sitting on the bed, shell-shocked. He said he read my journal, which was mostly about my life as a newly single woman. He told me it really stung to read all that.
Ouch town population, you bro!
But wait, hold on. How did you find it?
He said he was looking for matches. He couldn't tell me why he kept reading even after he knew what it was, but his apology was sincere and I forgave him. Not too long after that, things got messy. He started getting very sad or very angry, referring to things he read. His feelings were so intense that I started apologizing for my thoughts. Anyway, we got married. I'm sorry, the way you're writing this is killing me, dude. I can definitely sense the fun gummies. A decade later, I was thinking of a divorce and wrote a ton to process my thoughts about some sensitive topics. Again, he stumbled upon my journal and read it all. Oh, absolutely not. I was pissed, but he convinced me that he would never do it again. Besides, he was really hurt by the things I wrote, and I felt bad. Having thoughts is not a crime.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Let it go, but he started getting sad or angry again, thinking about what he read. Once more, the intensity of his feelings led me to apologize for my thoughts. I hate this. I hate this already. Now here we are, married with kids, setting up Scrabble on a Friday night. He went to find a piece of paper and came back quiet and distracted. I asked if everything was okay. Oh my lord. He looked at me sharply and told me he just read my journal. Are you freaking kidding me right now? I feel like this has become a way for him to exercise control over you. Because like, he promises not to read this anymore, but then he still does it because he's trying to make sure that you're staying in line, okay? And like, I'm sure he loves it how you grovel and apologize and you feel so bad about feeling a certain way and there's a punishment for feeling a certain way, for writing down your thoughts and getting them out of your head so that you can process things and deal with your mental health. I don't like this at all. I tensed, thinking of how I recently tackled through some feelings related to our different ethnic and religious backgrounds. I wrote things that would have been hurtful to read, and I was mortified knowing that he did read them, but I was also annoyed.
Wait, you read my journal again?
He blamed me for leaving it out and accused me of being a bad person. Oh, hell no. For what I wrote, but I honestly wasn't listening to him anymore. It is not your fault. You thought that you could trust him because he promised not to read your journal anymore. I just want to know why we are dealing with this again. It's pretty basic knowledge that one shouldn't read other people's diaries, right? But look at him forcing his way into my brain and shaming me for what he saw. I surprised myself by slamming my hand on the table.
A third time?
We were both hurt, but he was accusing me of overreacting while minimizing and deflecting from his behavior. He called me overly emotional when I cried over how violated I felt. This felt so wrong, like I committed a thought crime.
I feel kind of like I'm committing a crime.
Am I the a-hole for insisting he's 100% wrong? I'm so mad, but I'm doubting whether my reaction was proportional to what he did. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being terrible, what would you rate someone reading your journal? Would you apologize for the things you wrote? No. Someone reading your journal, especially a second time, the only person who should be apologizing is them.
My bad? That's all you have to say?
I know for me that like my journal is literally just a place where like I've got really kind of like scary thoughts sometimes. Like not those kinds of thoughts, okay? Not those kinds of thoughts, but thoughts that are like, I have a lot of like anger. A lot of it is really kind of irrational. It only happens when my mental health is really bad. And, I'm battling inner demons a lot.
I'm sorry, Mr. Monster. Maybe
And when I'm writing in my journal, it's like my way of like getting rid of it, getting it out of my head so I don't have to feel that way anymore. I recognize that the thoughts are irrational. And like sometimes I go back and like read it and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like I don't even recognize myself. Like I'm like, oh God, you were so mad at that time. And like you haven't even thought about this encounter, you haven't even thought about this person in so long. But guess what? Writing it down physically, and here's some witchy shit. If you write it down on a piece of paper, burning it, like don't burn the house down, but like lighting it on fire, it's kind of like this thing where you're sort of telling the universe that like that's the energy that you're putting into it and you're letting go. I feel like it's something that like writers need to do, honestly, like especially like I know that I'm a writer. If you like to write or you need an outlet, like a creative outlet, writer brains need to get things on paper. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of the rest of the story just because it has some subject matter that is a little upsetting. And I'm never here to minimize a story or minimize what OPs go through. I'm just going to say that the husband, continued to gaslight, brought the kids into it, said some things that were very, very hurtful to them, and they got very upset. If you want to read the whole story, we're going to link the story in the description like we always do. But let's just say this is divorce worthy. I will keep the update itself brief. The kids and I are safe, and I am divorcing my husband. The incident I posted about was so jarring I could no longer downplay the I'm really sorry that happened, but just remember at the end of the day, you are not a prisoner to your thoughts. You deserve a place to be able to like vent about it, write those things down, and like you should not be judged for that. And you certainly shouldn't have a husband that doesn't respect your need to do that.
You deserve better.
I understood then that it would be much worse for my kids to grow up in a household like that than to grow up with divorced parents. OP kind of goes on to say that, this was a history of emotionally manipulating, gaslighting. There were a lot of issues with regards to this relationship. And that's why I genuinely believe that the journal thing was about control. So for those of you who are confused in situations like this where people are in these types of relationships, I can't say the word, but you know what I mean. Okay. OP actually did try to leave at the beginning of their relationship, and she said that in an update. She remembered she tried to end things a couple of months after they started dating. He was love bombing her, and she felt smothered. When I told him that I wanted space, he was devastated. I see now that that was the turning point. I prioritized his feelings over mine. I gave him the benefit of every doubt. I convinced myself that the red flags I was seeing were aberrations.
Please, only one of us can hallucinate at a time.
But she recently moved into a new place, her home closed escrow, and the details of her divorce are finalized. These past few months were a unique kind of hell, but I'm now bursting with hope and happiness. I'm finally free of him. This is a happy ending, okay? This is a very happy ending. Honestly, I'm glad he read your diary. I'm genuinely glad, because if he hadn't, you wouldn't be here. Happy for you, and maybe you should write a book. Subscribe!